William McKinley faced an impossible challenge. The Ohio governor secured the Republican nomination to run for president of the United States, but his wife, Ida, was sick. He was her primary caretaker, and he couldn't just leave her to campaign across the country. As thousands descended on their house to congratulate them and wish for a November victory, McKinley had an idea. What if that became his entire campaign strategy? What if everything was inverted, with everyone coming to see him? Over 750,000 people made the trip to Canton, Ohio during the fall of 1896. They flocked to over 300 speeches, all delivered from William McKinley's front porch. The strategy was so effective that not only did McKinley win the election in a landslide, it shifted U.S. politics so drastically that some call this the first modern presidential election ever. And if you look, you can still see the imprint of this very front porch, the one that is left on every election since, including our most recent one. And this is how this porch reshaped American politics. The porch, as an architectural feature, serves as a universal symbol of hospitality and openness. It's a space that invites interaction while maintaining the comfort and security of home. They're also called on continuously for their meaning that they've accumulated over the years in literature and popular culture. Think of the examples of like To Kill a Mockingbird, where the Finch family porch is a central setting for important dialogues and community interactions, or everything from Gone with the Wind to Do the Right Thing. One of my favorites is actually from Scrubs, when JD decides to buy a small plot of land but only has enough money left over to build just a porch rather than an entire house. So he uses the porch to host get-togethers and practice his neighborliness. Anyway, during COVID, the porch was super important for some semblance of social gathering. It was also during this time that the Biden campaign began broadcasting messages streamed live from his basement in Delaware, which some dubbed the basement campaign in reference to McKinley's approach. And of course, presidents and candidates have continued delivering talks from porches throughout. Before elections became the boisterous, self-promotional, live-streamed extravaganzas that they are today, campaigning was widely considered undignified for a candidate to be able to engage in directly. It was before TV or radio, so spreading your message meant newspaper articles, and then surrogates traveling the country on your behalf while you stayed behind, pretending that you were just above it all. But it was clear in the 1896 election that all of this would be different, and citizens wanted to hear directly from their potential president about how they would deal with issues like the ailing economy. William McKinley's opponent, William Jennings Bryan, hopped on trains one after another, meeting as many people as possible where they lived. In 100 days, he traveled 18,000 miles in 27 states, delivering 600 speeches to a reported 5 million people from the back of a train. In comparison, McKinley's porch campaign, as it became known, seems almost lazy, reaching only a fraction of Bryan's numbers. Yet he received over 6 million votes, while Bryan received barely 5 million. So what exactly made the porch so effective? Well, the porch worked its magic on a Chicago factory worker, Sam Harris. He was chosen by his labor union to represent the factory that he worked in. And along with representatives from other factories in the local branch, the union wanted to send Sam to meet the candidate. These were delegates. And sure, they lived near one another, but they were also united by a shared set of common concerns and values. As factory workers, they wanted a candidate who would provide a stable economy and ensure fair wages. The campaign helped arrange accommodations for travel, as well as the timing of it all. They were also able to secure a group discount called an excursion rate. Sam heads to the Chicago Union Station and boards a train for his 12-hour journey. He passes through Gary and South Bend before stopping in places like Toledo and Cleveland, picking up more passengers from each city. When the train finally arrives in Canton 12 hours later, campaign volunteers greet Sam and the 100 or so other folks as they disembark the train. The group marches their way through the streets, holding labor signs and chanting slogans like "Fair wages for fair work." They arrive at William McKinley's house on Market Avenue, where they join hundreds more people from all kinds of trades, plumbers and carpenters, all there to gauge how well the Republican candidate represents their views. And that's when McKinley steps out of his front door and onto the porch, and he delivers an exceptionally passionate and thoughtful talk, all the while staying on message, talking only about labor issues the entire time. He covers the importance of growing America's industries and how workers deserve the opportunity to live prosperous lives. It's like the talk was tailored exactly to address the concerns that Sam had been feeling since the economy started getting a little shaky just a few years ago. Not only are McKinley's words inspiring, but the entire scene is powerful and moving. Our domestic trade must be won back, and our idle working people employed in gainful occupations and American wages. All the while, McKinley seems particularly at ease in front of his Victorian home. He looks just like one of us, and he's invited us right to his house. At one point, Sam notices Ida McKinley, William's sick wife, peering through a window to check out the crowd. Clearly, this candidate has firm family values and believes in stability and rootedness. Sam hardly notices the photographers capturing the spectacle. 20 minutes later, the speech is over, and now is the opportunity for every attendee to meet McKinley. Sam's experience could be multiplied by the hundreds of times that this entire routine occurred. While McKinley is the star of the show, it's actually the porch that made this powerful event possible. And I'd argue that McKinley's clever observation about the porch meant that he was thinking more like an architect than his opponent, William Jennings Bryan, ever did. While Bryan was busy adapting himself to the confines of the infrastructure around him, McKinley adapted the infrastructure to suit his needs. This might sound overly literal, but McKinley's porch, it was already the place where he presents himself to the outside world every single day. It is the physical, spatial interface between his public life and his private life. So to me, it's no wonder why this strategy allowed him to perform at his best, while also endearing others to his message. What's especially incredible is that this porch is a lot like others that you might find on millions of other Queen Anne-style homes. Its ornate wooden columns and decorative trim frame in a semi-enclosed space that's elevated just a few steps off the ground. This height and its orientation toward the street allows sizable crowds to maintain sightlines to the person who's speaking. These are all features that traditionally meant to put the occupant of the porch in a position of control. The sightlines allow for an easy view outward. The hard surfaces project sound outward, but also channel it effectively inward. The roof protects you from inclement weather if you're giving a speech or just speaking with a neighbor. These qualities help you quickly establish awareness of your surroundings and detect any possible threats around. The power of the porch doesn't just end at the front door or its balustrades. McKinley used it as a platform for projecting his message outward, and it's the porch's place in our network of public and private spaces that imbues it with its most important qualities. The sightings of Ida from inside gave the opportunity for the audience to see the intimate spaces of the home, and all that helped humanize the already heartfelt message conveyed in the words of the speech. The porch setting makes the candidate feel approachable and transparent, both traits of a good leader. For McKinley and his fellow Republicans, it also projected an image of family values and stability and rootedness in the community. None of this was by accident. It was all part of a highly curated campaign machine, all designed to spread this authentic message as quickly and indelibly as possible. By staying put, McKinley was able to cement the image of him on his porch in the minds of every American. The money he saved on travel was used to take advantage of photography and newspapers to be able to spread his message. In total, McKinley sent out over 200 million mailers. But staying on his porch also had another profound effect. While Bryan and his team whirred through America, McKinley engineered the logistics for hundreds of thousands of people to spend their own money traveling to his porch. This made railroad companies happy because it increased ridership, and they became eager allies to the campaign. That's how they were able to provide reduced fares and coordinate travel times that suited their schedule. This also shifted the cost of travel from the campaign to the delegates themselves, who were repaid with personal attention. But probably the most important difference between the two campaign strategies is that the porch method expanded the radius of how far folks were willing to travel to see a speech. Hear me out. While Bryan was moving from town to town to find new groups to talk to, McKinley was consistently drawing audiences from a larger, overlapping geographic area each time, so he could target different groups within that expanded pool. Bryan's speeches were delivered to broad cross-sections of people who just happened to live together, and these speeches had to be delivered over and over again. Meanwhile, McKinley scheduled different speeches on different specific subjects, and he encouraged folks concerned about those issues to come only for that talk. The version that Sam came to see was about labor issues, but every single round of the cycle targeted different interest groups: veterans of the Civil War, business groups, farmers, ethnic communities. They all came and received a specific message that was tailored to their specific concerns. Everyone feels personally addressed, seen, and heard in this strategy. And all of this was possible while McKinley maintained home field advantage throughout the entire process. McKinley appeared dignified and in command at every single moment. He had time to carefully craft his speeches and to manage his physical interactions between people. The control that he maintained over himself and the environment reduced any risks of gaffes or misrepresentation. Bryan's constant movement, in contrast, looks almost frenetic, and no one could keep tabs on where he would be on any given day. On the other hand, newspapers were eager to report on the daily minutiae of McKinley's home life. It was a relatable human interest story, and so the media helped spread his appeal even further. The use of media, targeted messages, and the complex logistics were all coordinated by one of the first full-time, professionalized campaign staffs. This level of organization and strategic planning laid the groundwork for the sophisticated campaign operations that we see today. And that's why historians consider this the very first modern election. The porch was part of the messaging, as well as the stage from which the messaging was broadcast. Just like how this porch isn't particularly unique in its design, it's not unique in these qualities either. The porch campaign was about more than just the porch itself, but it was at the center of it all. Its physical qualities made for effective communication to crowds. Its visual appeal made it an effective backdrop for spreading through photographs. Its adjacency to the home was convenient and controllable, and it provided a consistent place from which to address a broad range of targeted messages and constituencies. The porch is the perfect in-between location, using the house as a relatable setting while making the candidates seem authentic and open. None of this was accidental, yet nothing about McKinley's porch made it better suited for all this than almost any good-sized porch on a house. And for me, I think this highlights the incredible versatility of the porch as a functional space and its role in our aesthetic assessment of the home and our neighborhoods. Its role as a mediator between inside and out, public and private, means it can kind of do it all, while also providing unique opportunities to disrupt politics as usual. For most of us, the porch is just a passage that we traverse on one of the dozens of activities that we engage in like mindless zombies in our daily routines. But good design can actually snap you out into a more thoughtful place, making a little piece of your day that much more enjoyable and engaging. And that's exactly what a Henson razor does when you grip its aircraft aluminum handle and slide the precisely machined head across your skin. When you do, you're experiencing the incredible results of satellite engineers applying their expertise to engineering your perfect shave. They've engineered space probes on Mars right now, so when they say that 30 degrees is the perfect angle for a blade to shave the skin, you can trust them. But Henson's innovation extends to their entire business model. The precision fabrication means that they don't need to rely on those gimmicks that the cheap disposable razors do. With a Henson shave, there's no more slimy lubricating strips or expensive heads with a silly number of blades on them. Turns out that one blade, it does a better job when you do it right. The secret is extending the blade out a microscopically small 0.0013 inches past the shave plane, a precision that no other manufacturer can achieve. That way, there's no chance for the blade to flex, bend, or cause any irritation. So the initial investment that you make into a high-quality razor means that you save money over time. Instead of paying $2 or $4 for some gimmicky heads, you pay just 10 cents for a traditional razor blade. But because you're here, you'll get your first 100 blades for free. So head to hensonshaving.com, pick whichever razor color that you like, and add the 100 pack of blades to your order. Then when you're checking out, enter the promo code Stewart Hicks, and the price of the braids will be deducted automatically. You probably won't have to spend another dime on shaving for, I think, at least a year. And I've loved my razor for years now, and it still looks and feels fantastic. So treat yourself or someone else during this holiday season with a gorgeous razor and get those blades with promo code Stewart Hicks. Links down below. Enjoy, and thanks for watching.